everyone. Welcome to the Impetus Football podcast. My name's Denise Duffy. I'm joined by founder Ben Gilby. Today we have striker Tia Stonehill on the podcast. Tia is one of the most consistent goal scorers that Western Australia has produced in many years. An all-action attacker with an infectious attitude, Tia's journey has been full of twists and turns, and that has included overcoming a massively challenging injury to hit an incredible 24 goals in 21 games last season, which earned her an A-League contract with Perth Glory last season. Pretty cool stuff. Hi, Tia.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey.
That was a pretty cool intro.
And
Nice to see you.
All right, Tia. Well, how would you describe yourself as a footballer?
Electric, energetic, and I'd just say bubbly. I don't fit inside a box when I play, and I don't fit inside a box when I don't play either. So I'm a lot of character, and I pride myself on being a bit different.
Oh, that's so cool. Anything else unique about how you see or play football?
I don't know. I think the feedback that I've had is just like people love watching me play because they can just see like my energy and my passion when I'm on the pitch, and like even when it comes to things like celebrating goals and just I put a lot of emotion into the sport, you know. So when there's big moments, I'm right up there. So, my celebrations are quite over the top, but I feel like we kind of let that go sometimes in the sense of like people are way too chill, and I'm way over the top. So I think I bring that kind of energy to the game, and I think people love being around it and watching it.
That must be great for the fans. I mean, what should we know about you, from where you come from and how you were formed as a footballer? Like, how did you become Tia Stonehill?
I actually grew up playing AFL. So in Australia, Australian rules footy is pretty much like one of the main sports here. Soccer wasn't that big back then when I was playing. I'm 27 now. So, we're talking like 20 years ago. So grew up playing footy is what we call it here, and my whole family had an AFL background, and no one in my family has ever played football as in soccer. And then I grew up playing that, and then I kind of got to an age where they were like, because I played with the boys, and then I got to an age where they were like, oh, you can't play with the boys anymore. So I was like, what do you mean I can't play with the boys? Like, I'm better than the boys. And they're like, oh, it's not because of that. It's because, you're a girl and like you're maturing. And like at that time I was like, what? I couldn't understand it. So my deputy principal at the time in primary school, he coached some state teams like soccer. And he's like, oh, well, why don't you come down and give football a go, real football. And I'm like, okay, I'll give it a go. And then turned out I was pretty good at it, and I really loved it. And then ever from since then I've just been playing the real football. And then that's pretty much it.
Well, it sounds like you're like a big game day kind of player, but a lot of football is just the everyday stuff, like everyday practice, everyday drills. I mean, how are you in that kind of thing? What are your favorite moments in those things?
Well, obviously, like coming off of my first A-League season with Glory was like a pretty big eye-opener to me. I've never really played at that level before. Obviously, it was my full-time job, so kind of adapting from like the NPL here, which was training casually 2 days a week and a game on a Sunday, to it being your full-time job. You wake up every morning and you train, and it's your whole life, and traveling and meetings and all that sort of stuff. So it was pretty cool. It was like, I remember like the first few days, it was like a kid in a candy store. I was just like, what the hell? Like, this is my life, this is my job. Like, you mean I come here and like get paid to do this? Like, that's crazy. So yeah, it was pretty surreal. Like,
So,
I mean, that's something we're going to touch on a little bit later about how that whole transition went from, being what happened before you were at Balcata last year and then scoring the goals and then getting the contract with Perth.
yeah.
Obviously, one of the big things in your story over the last sort of 18 months or so, which is, I think, is something that's more, sort of like a global interest, really, because obviously our site and this podcast sort of has people all over the world sort of clicking in on it.
Yeah.
And although they may not know you as a name or you as a player, you've come back from the most incredibly challenging injury that happened to you sort of back in 2022. That football was almost possibly off the radar potentially, depending on how that had gone. And you went from there to doing unbelievable things, at Balcata last year. I mean, going back to that injury, just for people who weren't aware, what happened? What was that impact like, sort of both physically and mentally on you?
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, in the start of 2022, I was playing a night series friendly game. So it's kind of like a pre-season tournament before the NPL kicks off here in Perth. And it's usually where you kind of get your feelers on, what other teams are like, and it's a good way to try formations and see how you kind of go. So, and I was coming in off pretty good form. The season before that, I'd won Player of the Year in the NPL, so I was in pretty good stead. And yeah, second game into the night series, I was one-on-one with the goalkeeper and kind of got taken out and flipped and just landed awkwardly on my back. We were playing on AstroTurf here, so like the artificial turf. And then yeah, like straight away I knew I'd done something pretty bad because I'm a pretty tough cookie. So for me to be in that kind of pain, I knew something wasn't right. So I was pretty scared, to be honest. And it was still in a time when we had COVID was massive, and that was all still pretty scary as well. So yeah, I had to get an ambulance to the hospital, and I was all by myself. So yeah, it was pretty hard time for me, and obviously not knowing what was actually going on. But yeah, got the results back and found out that I'd fractured my spine. So my L1 and L2, and then my L5 S1, so right at the bottom, I had my disc pop out as well. So yeah, it was pretty painful, but I think it was more of a shock for me mentally than it was physically, because I knew I could handle the physical pain. But yeah, mentally for me, that was the toughest part, because yeah, there was a lot of thoughts going around my head, what was going to happen. And I didn't really have much clarity from the doctors, because they said like they can't guarantee what's going to happen, if I'm ever going to be pain free or have a normal life, like if my back doesn't heal properly. So yeah, it was a lot to take on, and especially because I'm pretty active, like I don't often sit still. So for me to be bedridden for like a month, 2 months, without like, I had to have 24/7 care just to be able to move and get up and that sort of stuff. And yeah, so it was really hard mentally. I struggled a fair bit, to be honest. And then I had to make the decision, like I had to kind of accept it for what it was. And if my back was going to heal and I was going to be okay, I was going to give it a crack and try and play football again. Because I feel like I would have regretted it if I didn't. But then I had to also come to like accept the fact that if I didn't, then that was that, and I couldn't really control that. But I just try to control what I could control, and I really smashed out the rehab and like on the physical side of stuff, and I really worked a lot on the mental side of things as well. And that's where I got my obsession for Kobe Bryant during that time. I read a lot of his books and watched a lot of his videos, and like he completely changed my mindset and just gave me that Mamba mentality, as you'd say. And that's where the number 24 came from for that season that I came back. Yeah. But yeah, I was lucky enough to make a full recovery and managed to come back in the 23 MPL season. And again, won top goal scorer, 24 goals, Kobe Bryant's number. So it was my lucky number, that one. And then, got my first professional contract in the A-League. So, it was pretty surreal when I remember going back, and I was so scared because I just didn't want to hurt myself again, or I wasn't sure that if I was going to be okay. And I think once I got through the first game, I was like, we can do this, we're good. And then I just kind of told myself I just want to enjoy it, because at one point I didn't know if I was ever going to be on this pitch again, and every game I just wanted to have fun. I just wanted to enjoy it, and I just wanted to love the game. And I think that's what helped me have such a good season, play such good football. And then, obviously was rewarded with that contract. So, I was pretty happy with all of that. But it just goes to show, never
do you think, definitely, and do you think sort of some of that sort of overcoming those massive sort of mental barriers were sort of such a big sort of way that propelled you forward to do what you did at Balcatta last year?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously there was a lot of things that I had to work through physically, but it was all mental. And I feel like I've learned so much from that whole ordeal as well. Having that resilience and that strength. Your mind controls everything. Whether you're going through, every outcome is it's all mental, and it taught me so much, even though it was such a horrible thing that happened to me. And I just have trying to take all the positives out of it. And it really has changed me, my mental state and just my mental strength as well. And it's really helped me along my path now in life, and helps me achieve all the things I want to achieve. And it's crazy how sometimes a really bad thing that happens ends up being a positive, it was pretty cool.
So we've kind of skirted around what happens. I mean, but basically, in a bit more detail, you came back, you had sort of potentially your best ever goal scoring figures ever last season. Went on to gain that A-League contract at Perth Glory. So sort of a bit more maybe thought about how that period transpired, sort of how you went from that injury comeback to that best ever campaign that ended up with somebody buying a shirt with an A-League shirt with your name on the back. Literally, how the hell does that happen when you do something like that? Because I'm just in awe of how you did that.
Me too. Look, I don't know. I think it's just who I am as a person. To be completely honest, in the way that I was raised and the cards that I've been dealt my whole life, I've just always fought. I've always fought, and I've always pushed myself and given everything that I have. And I think that has just proved in that instance, that I was just never going to give up, and there was no other option for me other than to get better and get back and be the best. And I'm quite hard on myself, and I always want to be the best at everything. And I think that also pushes me that where the mentality side comes in, is just always wanting to be better, and always wanting to improve and always wanting to give more. And I think that's kind of helped me get to this point. But when I got that call and saying that I got a contract, for me, it was what the hell is happening? Is this real? I've worked so hard and overcame so much, and then it's finally here. And then it's I'm so excited. And then it's it took a week for me to actually comprehend what was going on. And I remember calling all my family, and everyone just bawling out in tears, because obviously they knew how much it meant to me and how important it was. And and then it was okay, cool, next job, we got to focus on Glory, and same thing, being as good as I can be and giving my all and trying to be the best. And and then that was kind of the next step. So it was that's all behind me now, just looking forward and keep grinding.
So, I mean, we kind of talked earlier, you talked about those early days of sort of being in training, the Glories, like, sort of being a kid in a candy shop. But I mean, initially, what was that like though? Because I'm right in thinking in those early days, you were still had the day job as well, didn't you, initially as well?
Yeah, so I actually came into the Glory squad a few weeks later than the rest of the girls because I was actually at the academy because I'd just gotten into special operations group, so through like the Department of Justice here, so working in prisons and stuff. So yeah, I had a good chat to Alex, the coach at the time, and obviously he understood I only had like a couple of weeks left before I graduated, and I'd been in the training for a few months, so he obviously understood the importance of me finishing my training, and so I graduated from there, and then jumped in with the Glory, and then I was still working throughout the whole season. I was still working 1 day a week in the prisons. Obviously, financial wise, like we all know that it's not that sustainable for female athletes. It was pretty tough trying to manage a full-time job as an athlete and then part-time as a prison officer, working 12-hour shifts. So,
I mean, how did that fit in with all the travelling to away games? 'Cause, I mean, obviously, to go anywhere from Perth is a massive effort anyway in terms of hours. I mean, what's the reality of that, and then doing the travelling and the prison job at the same time as well as playing?
Yeah, it was full on. I think I was just running off adrenaline for like months. On any days off that we had, I would be working in the prison and obviously trying to support myself and also get that experience at my job, because then I don't know, as females we analyze everything way over the top, and so for me I'm thinking, all right, well, you're not going to be a footballer for the rest of your life, so you need to have something for when you can't play football anymore. And I think especially when I did that injury to my back and I had that sudden thing of, oh shit, what if I can't play that kind of does play in the back of my mind that obviously one day I'm not going to be able to play football and I need to have a full-time job that I can kind of rely and support myself on. So yeah, it is quite hard, to be honest. Obviously my love and passion is to play football, but then my responsible side is, well, it's not sustainable as a female athlete to just be able to do that at this point in time. So I had to balance both, whether I liked it or not. It was just what I had to do. So it was pretty full on, but my work with the Department of Justice was good. And then they were so accommodating and understanding, and were really supportive as well. So it made my life a lot easier trying to balance both. So yeah, it was good. I had support from both sides, but yeah, it was pretty full on, but same thing, nothing I could have done. So we soldier on.
So, I mean, looking back over that season, I guess if we're being honest, it's probably fair to say you didn't get the minutes in the team that you'd have liked. And I think, to be honest, probably quite a few people would have liked as well. I mean, how hard was that as well? So, you had this big thing that you'd wanted to achieve forever. You'd got it, and there you were, not as involved as possibly you could have been. I mean, how did you get through that? How were you supported through that? Because again, that's a massive mental challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was like disheartening and it was frustrating for me, but same thing, that's I think where my mentality came into it. And I am really lucky that I have the mental strength that I have, because I was able to get through it, and I was still able to, rock up every day and give 110%. And it's just the person that I am, because all I wanted to do was know that I could walk away every day and say I couldn't have done more. And for me, that's enough. Like that was enough for me to know the rest is out of my control, and whatever happens, happens. But if I've given my absolute all, then I can sleep at night, like I can't, that's all I can control, and if I didn't have that mentality, I honestly don't know if I would have been able to get through it, because it's just playing at that level. It is so different just the pressure and the stress on you to perform, and then, you know, not getting selected or not getting the game time that you want. You know, it is really hard. But I was also lucky in the same time that, you know, I had some really amazing teammates that supported me. And, you know, Sadie Lawrence was like my rock this season at the Glory. You probably know her from previous seasons at Balcatta and that. So, yeah, she was amazing. And then obviously my family, as you know, they're the best support in the whole world. So I was so lucky to have my family and some really good friends as well. So, yeah, I think just the mixture of all of that was enough to keep me going. And the same thing, you know, like just got to keep looking forward and know that I've given everything and hope things come my way. So
I mean, how are things left at the end of the season? You know, are you part of their plans potentially still, or was it just to wait and see how the NPL goes this year?
Yeah, at this stage, it's a bit of just an open door. And just seeing how things go from both sides, on the club side, and then obviously my side and what I kind of want to do with my future. And I did have a few opportunities come up to go play NPL in other states. So, but for me, I think it was important at the moment just to jump into my work a bit, and kind of put that first for a little bit while I've got the time. So yeah, I'm working full time at the prison at the moment. I've still got a bit more training that I need to do, some specialist training. So I had to put that on hold while I was at Glory. So, yeah, just trying to kind of get all that done at the moment. And then obviously, yeah, playing the NPL here. And, but yeah, we'll see what happens in the future.
So I know we will go and talk about the NPL in a minute, but I know, Denise, the area that we've sort of just touched on is something that I know is particularly fascinating for you. I just wanted, you know, did you want to jump in here with you know, your reaction as someone who doesn't necessarily know Tia as well, to sort of give you observations on, you know, on what you've heard?
I mean, I'm just absolutely amazed by you breaking your back, and then coming back like full on. That would scare the bejesus out of me. I mean, that's scary stuff. I mean, it just shows a lot about your grit, and not only just coming back and making Perth Glory. I mean, I have so many questions about that. I mean, Ben, do you want to continue, or do you want me to jump in with my rando fun questions?
No, I mean, we can talk about the NPL. I mean, but if you want to sort of talk about the stuff that, you know, we've just heard about before we then go to NPL in a little while, go for it.
Okay. I mean, so I just, given that you're exciting, electric sort of ways about you and you're passionate. I mean, on game day, what is it like for you? What's your favorite time? Who are you on that day?
Oh, I'm a beast. It's my favorite day this is my favorite day of the week every week. I love game day. Like, that's what I love most about playing football, is the feeling you get on game day. It is like nothing else. It is like, I feel like it would be close to like doing drugs. I don't know. Like, just feeling that ultimate, just like high, and like I just get so worked up. Like, I'm just a ball of energy. So on game day, I'm just like, let's go. Like, and like as soon as I wake up in the morning, I'm just like pacing around the house. I'll have like a coffee, then I pace even more, and then get all my stuff ready. Listen to like some like real crazy music, get me pumped. And then, yeah, I just love like heading there and just seeing the girls, getting all like amped up, listening to tunes. I usually DJ in the change rooms.
That does not surprise me.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I just love like...
I think we also need to mention somebody in the grandstand as well at this point too, don't we? Because even here, when I'm watching you play over the internet every weekend for Balcatta, or certainly last season, and now we'll have it again, there's always a certain voice, isn't there, coming out loud and clear in that grandstand.
I have no idea who you're talking about. Wouldn't be related to me, would it?
No, it's great. It's absolutely great. I mean, it's who you are. It's who your family are, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just everything that comes of it. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and it was funny because obviously like I had my first game back on Sunday for Balcatta, and I remember just one moment we had a corner, and young girl Karis was there, and she went up for a header, and I heard Mum yell out something, and it was to Karis. Anyway, Karis just lit up, and she's like smiling like this, and I'm like, yeah, like I was like, I know the girls love it, like because they feel like someone cares, you know, and someone's supporting them and has their back, sort of thing. So it was a nice little moment. I was like, oh, like this is nice. I remember this, like. So it is, and I've been so lucky that I have so much support. Like sometimes it's not too much. It's not too much, but I know sometimes I'm like what you were saying before. It's a little bit like awkward for me. Like I'm like, oh, but I do. I love it. I'm very lucky.
It sounds like your mom's.
It's just great. It's just great. Like sort of sitting here on a Sunday morning is for me watching your games, and it's just sort of just hearing that as well as sort of seeing you play. It's just like it's kind of like being there myself, even though I'm sort of 10,000 miles away. So love it.
Yeah,
love it.
And I know that like.
All right, I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
What is it like to score a goal? Like, what does that feel like? I mean, what does it feel like for you?
The best feeling ever. That's why I'm like, I love being a striker. I couldn't see myself in any other positions because there is no better feeling than putting that ball in the back of the net and just being like, I did that. Like, that's me. Like, and especially playing football, it is not a high scoring game as such. And like, it's not easy to score goals. So like one goal is so important, you know, whereas, you know, a lot of other sports, basketball, AFL, netball, obviously you score a lot of goals. So it's not so, it's good. Like you've done really well, but it happens all the time. Whereas in football, like when you score a goal, like it could be 1-0, that could be the sealer. Like, and they're the best goals. Like when it's like 90th minute sealer. Like I'll never forget that goal, Ben, against Perth, at Perth. And we were down, I think we were down, or I think we were draw. I think we were like 2-2. And then I just hit that ball first time into the top corner and we won the game 3-2, I think. And it ended up on Perth Now, like this news thing, because my celebration, I just went off. I was like in the camera, giving it these ones, giving it Ronaldo. I was giving it like everything that I remember after the game, just after that, I was like cramping because I was so sore, but I think I used the last of my energy to celebrate. But like, it's just the best feeling. Like, oh, I love it.
I could tell you love it. I mean, this is great. What other teams have you enjoyed competing against, and what other players have you enjoyed beating or competing against? Who are some of the best?
Well, if we look at the NPL here, Perth Red Star are probably like, I would say like the biggest, right? Like the biggest team you come up against, just because like of their track record. They've had a consistent side for a while now, and they always seem to get results. So I think when you're going up against them, like I usually get a little bit more revved up on those kind of games when you know it's going to be a big game. And especially like your finals and your cup games and like those really important games as well. Like I live for those games. I get so nervous that I feel like that sick kind of anxious feeling, but then I'm so excited at the same time. So it's just like a really weird feeling altogether. Like you want to like throw up because you're so excited, but you want to throw up because you're so nervous. Like, but then I think like once you get out there and you just like that whistle blows and you start running, you're just like, oh yeah, like we're all good. Like, but yeah, I know it's always a good game to play against them. But going into the A-League, I think like, because it was my first experience and I didn't like every game to me, I was like, holy crap, we're playing the best team. Like, because for me, like it was such a new experience and I didn't really know like who I was going to come up against. And then obviously like the level difference from me going to NPL to the A-League was quite substantial. So yeah, coming up against players, like, it was pretty cool, hey, like, because obviously you have the likes of like Courtney Vine and players like that who are still in the A-League here, and it's like, well, these players play for Australia, like, that's pretty cool, you know, like, but then at the same time, I also kind of go out there and I take every game on like I would every game, like, never underestimate anyone and always just try your best, and yeah.
Ben, you want to shoot some in?
Yes, I mean, we talked. Obviously, we touched on the NPL a lot, but sort of just to kind of explain more to the wider audience, it's below the A-League women. Every state has its own sort of tier of football. There's no promotion and relegation between the state NPL and then the A-League women. So as you said, you came back in to the NPL at Balcatta on Sunday in the 24 shirt again. So it's team there's changed a hell of a lot since last year. Obviously, on and off the pitch, things have changed massively. And of course, you're coached now again by Pete Rakic, who's, you spent a lot of time with a long time ago.
Yeah.
Somebody you know well, so back to Queen's Park days, a long time before NPL started. So,
Yeah.
what's it like being back with him?
Awesome. I was so stoked to hear of his appointment at the club. Because I obviously always wanted to go back and play for Balcatta if I could. And it was just like the icing on the cake that Pete was coming down, and I absolutely just love and respect Pete as a person and as a coach as well. And I love what he has done and his just vision for women's football in the state. And just just the way his philosophy of football, I just love. That's why I was so excited, because I know how he thinks in football sense, and it's very much my style of football. He likes playing smart, fast football. He watches a lot of European football and takes a lot of info from that kind of game and tries to bring it in here. And I just love that. It's so exciting, and it's been so cool to see him grow as well as a coach. And yeah, just stoked that I can be under him for the rest of the season.
So for someone who doesn't sort of know sort of Pete's name or his style of play, how would you describe him to sort of like the wider audience?
His style of coaching, or him as a person?
Well, kind of both, and and sort of the way he likes. I mean, the way he got Perth playing last year. Now you guys this season as well.
Yeah, I think his coaching style and his football style that he wants to put out on a pitch is quite, it's technical, but it's also simple. Like he wants like a specific way of football, but done simply, and he wants like just possession-based football, which I love. And it just caters to my style as a striker. Like, there's nothing you want more than a team behind you who can keep the ball and to be technical and then play, build up play and be able to break down other teams. I think that's really important in women's football and in Perth in general, just trying to bring more of that style of football in. And yeah, just his personality wise as well. He is quite, he is super energetic, but he's sweet, but he's also spicy. He's got that fiery kind of side to him as well, where he can get really revved up, and he's really passionate. And I just know that he'd go to war for us. Like, he'd always have our backs, and that's what I loved about him and Ben. That was my first big taste to proper football in this state, and I think he's learned a lot from Ben Anderton, who is our NTC coach here, who also I think is the most amazing coach, and I hope to see him at an A-League level soon. But yeah, we just need more people like them in Perth and in the football scene.
Yeah, I mean, sort of talking about people in Perth and the football scene, obviously you mentioned Perth Red Star. I mean, they're the yardstick in the competition in terms of winning. I mean, their sort of winning record just of games, never mind trophies, is just crazy.
Yeah.
Obviously now this season Perth Soccer Club are looking strong as well, and there's yourselves down at Balcatta sort of. Obviously there's pushing really strongly as well now. So what do you think Balcata have got to do now to finish ahead of both of those two sides this season? And sort of given how, you are a relatively newly put together team, and Red Star have been together for, goodness knows how long, with sort of 200-300 gamers in that team.
Yeah.
How realistic is it that you guys can break through?
Look, I think that if we just play consistent football, that is probably going to be the best thing. We just need to be consistently good in each week, and do the basic things right. Because I don't think it'll be from a lack of trying or a lack of energy, or, there's so many people with talent in that team, and it's just working together to get the 3 points every week. So, yeah, I think if we just stay kind of unified, stay as a team, and then just do the simple things right, I still think we have a pretty good chance. But like the way that I see football is, you can have all the technicalities you want and all the best players and all this and all that, but I honestly really think it just comes down to that teamwork. Like, honestly, I think if you have 11 players on that field that are willing to do anything for each other and to all give 100% and just that never say die, that'll win you a game. It's not because you're playing better than the other team. Like, that's just how I've always seen football. So, I think if we can kind of have that mentality, then I'd hope to say we can knock Red Star off and Perth and so on. So, but yeah, we'll see.
So, I mean, the situation in terms of women's football in Western Australia now, obviously, it's always been a challenge anyway, because of the competition in terms of clubs and sort of bodies and whatever on East Coast. It's always sort of been a battle that we've had to keep our best players, not just in the state, but to keep the standard up as well. Obviously we've got one of the youngest NPL competitions in the whole country as well, on top of that too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how do you think that the standards and opportunities are now in Western Australia? And obviously we've got Caitlin Douglas was saying to me the other day that she thinks now the A-League season is longer, it may mean that WA may keep more of its Perth Glory based players in the NPR possibly. But I mean, how do you see the situation developing now in WA?
Yeah, I agree. I think that was always the issue, was that we couldn't retain our, what we'd call, good players. Because I feel like for them, they always felt like they had to go elsewhere to get opportunities. Because I think obviously in the past, WA is quite often overlooked. And then especially with our history with the A-League, with Perth Glory, it has been hard for local girls to get contracts. So I think with the A-League season being longer, I think you're right. I think it will help retain players here, because it is only a few months now. Like, we only just finished training maybe a month or two ago, probably about 6 weeks ago, and then pre-season would probably start in around the end of August possibly. So I mean, it's not that long, so it doesn't give us a lot of time to go elsewhere. But yeah, I think the more that we get players signed from Perth, the more it's going to help grow the league as well. Because if Perth Glory, for say, are signing more and more local girls and taking local talent, and there's just more pathways here for them, it's just going to keep growing the league, and then more opportunities are going to come, and then hopefully, it'll grow the league and it'll become, a higher standard and more, more consistent. So, fingers crossed. But I think it's helped a lot as well with obviously such a big success of the Matildas and the World Cup, having the World Cup here, and all those things as well. I think it helped growing the league across the whole country. So, yeah.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, I mean, the growth of fans across Australia has been amazing. Has that trickled down to you at all? Or,
absolutely.
How is that?
Yeah.
I mean, how do fans impact the way you play? And, can you tell us about a good fan moment or two?
Oh, absolutely. I think that has made such a big effect on, well, I mean, the A-League, for example, like we had a record number of attendance and record number of sales and views. I think the A-League Women's Grand Final was the highest viewed female sport recorded so far in Australia. So it just does go to show. And like I think before the season had even started, we had already broken records for membership sales and the first round attendance was the highest ever recorded, and that's coming off the back of such a successful World Cup and obviously with the Olympics coming up as well. So I think there is a big hype around the women's game at the moment, and which is good because the more people are wanting to be involved, it helps us because it gives us the leg to stand on when we want more money or we want, more fair things. So, but yeah, the fans are the best. It was really cool with this year at the Glory. Just like spending time with all the kids and like, I've got this one. I'm going to shout out. His name's Max, and his dad Dale. You might have spoke to him before, Ben. But yeah, Max is he's a huge fan. He's so sweet, and he ended up getting a full kit with my name on it and badges with my name on it, and he always messages me and makes little TikToks and little videos of me and had me as his phone screensaver, and he's just the effect that you have on these kids. Like, it's just like, I've always been one to put in a lot of time with all the fans, especially the young ones, because I just know how much of an impact it makes. And I know like some days, like you finish a game and you're just so exhausted, like, or you've just had you've got all these emotions and the last thing you want to do is stand around and talk to kids, but you just do it, because it means so much to them. And like, he came to my Balcatta game on Sunday and it's raining here in Perth at the moment. We haven't had rain for a very long time. So he drove an hour and a half. He lives pretty far away. So he drove an hour and a half to come watch me play and had my kit on and just to see like, his face light up when you speak to him, it just makes it all so worth it. I really love that stuff. And yeah, it's one of the parts of the games that I love the most and I'm most grateful for.
And I love that you're talking not just about a little girl, but a little boy who, clearly sees you as a role model, someone to cheer on. That's cool stuff.
Yeah.
Just a big question. What do you want people to know about female footballers and their journey? Like anything?
I think what I would want most for people to know is just the strength of female athletes, because I feel like every single female athlete could probably tell you a pretty similar story of their journey and how it's not been that easy for them. And, I know that the things that I'm doing now for women's football and for women athletes is maybe in 10 years when the next little me is coming through, it's going to be that little bit easier for them, and I think that's what, it's that bittersweet kind of thing that it's probably not where I want it to be right now for me, but what I'm doing might help someone else in the future, and I just want us to all be seen for all the hardship and that we have to endure. And, most of the girls working full-time, part-time jobs while being professional athletes, while being mothers or partners or, all that sort of thing. Women are pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome. Ben, do you have anything else?
Do you know what? I think that's the best possible part to say, wow, thank you. To leave, I don't know how we can top what you just said.
No. Amazing stuff, Tia. And I just really want to thank you. Thank Ben for starting Impetus and going very deep into Australian women's football. I'm not sure Ben gets enough praise for that, but it's pretty incredible stuff. And everyone at Impetus works their tail off to bring out stories like yours, to cover matches Wow. Incredible stuff. I'm really humbled to be a part of it.
It's really amazing. And for us players as well, to have people like you guys, in our corner who do all of this stuff just so we can be seen and heard and out there, it's just like, it's so amazing, and it means so much. I know it means so much to me, and I know it means so much to every girl who puts their boots on every week, and we just, every week I love reading all your stuff and how involved you guys are. It's just amazing. So thank you.
Great stuff. Yep. So thanks for listening to the Impetus podcast, where we celebrate the pride, passion, and achievements of women in football. Don't forget to subscribe. And until next time. Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Tia.
Thanks, guys.